And the story so far has been very entertaining. Very much looking forward to seeing what happens next. If you haven't been here before for this book or reading in general, let me just give you a quick rundown of how this works. The books that I typically read on stream, are by authors that are newer to the scene. I don't read their books ahead of time. So, for example, this book that we're reading right now, I have no idea what's going to happen until I've read it. The only thing I read in advance is what you could all read if you were to buy it online, which is the back cover. So, I'm reading it for the first time just as you are hearing it for the first time. But I'd like to support newer, upcoming authors because writing a book is difficult. Getting exposure for that book is even harder. And so if I can, as a writer myself, help with that process, then fantastic. I always buy my own copy, and I tell the folks that I work with, I say, look, I can't guarantee you'll get any sales, but I can guarantee you at least my sale. I never ask for any free books. I always get my own, and we just go from there. So that's it. This tea is going to be way too hot, but I need it. I need a sip. And then I will get Gemma's book bunk in a moment. My voice is available for hire, as you can see the website right there. I do voice acting on the side. Book narrations, obviously. Many other types. So if you ever needed to hire my voice for anything, I am available to communicate with about that. There you go. I can confirm writing is hard. First thing is having an idea on how the story goes, but getting it down on paper and be satisfied with it is a whole other thing. You're not wrong. Ooh, that's a good cup of tea. Set that back on the warmer. All right. Let's transition to our reading scene in the library, and let's get started. Exclamation point moon if you wish to learn more about our author. And obviously the book. And she has other books too. So feel free to check those out as you wish. And in the meantime, sit back, relax, and I will read you a story. Welcome, and thank you for being here. Chapter 19 starts us off on page 135 in the printed copy. The rain started after midnight and continued throughout the night and into the morning. Oh, sorry, I forgot the book bunk. My bad. Thank you. How could I forget? The rain started after midnight and continued throughout the night and into the morning. Bree stood at the kitchen slider and looked out at the choppy water, coffee in her hand, sipping. Hi, Melissa. The author herself, ladies and gentlemen. There she is. It's great to see you. She watched as the rain streaked down the glass. The rain made puddles on her chipped and cracked patio that rippled in the blustery wind. She could barely see her little weeping cherry and the Adirondack chairs from here, but the thought of them made her smile. Turning her back on the rain, she grabbed her camera off the counter. Bree was excited to download the pictures onto her computer. She grabbed a sweatshirt because the house was a little chilly, making her way to the studio, patting softly in her socks. Bree climbed the stairs, flipped the lights, and adjusted the thermostat. She set her coffee down and checked her calendar. She had promised Aunt Maureen dates and a list of what she wanted from home. Settling on dates for the movers, she emailed her aunt and attached the list. Satisfied, she turned her attention to work. She slipped in her memory card from her camera and started downloading her photos. The day passed quickly as she went through her new photos, deleted the ones she didn't like, and selected the ones she did. She loved the ones of the loon, the boys in the fishing boat, the one of Riker he wasn't aware that she took. First, she played with the photo of the loon, enhancing and cropping it, adjusting the exposure and increasing the brightness. Then she found 2 more of the same bird and toyed with them. Finished, she placed them in a series. Next, she worked on the image of the teenage boys fishing in the little boat. Only this time, she enhanced the red baseball cap and the red patch on the back pocket, making the color really pop. She faded out the background and played up the dapple of light that hit the water. Satisfied, she clicked save and added it to her website along with the loon. She stood, stretched, and got a bottle of water from the mini fridge Riker had installed under the counter in her workstation. She had argued with him at the time about it being unnecessary, but right now, while she was in the zone, she had to admit it was handy. Chalk another one up for Riker. Thinking of him, she couldn't wait to work on the photo of him. Clicking on the tiny icon, she set her water bottle aside and scrutinized the photo. It really didn't need much adjusting, because his strength and character already shone through, but she couldn't help tweak it a little. Riker stood at the helm, the wheel lightly caressed between his fingers. The sun was setting off to the west, casting him in an ethereal glow. Shadows accented his strong features. He stood, confident and sure, his eyes on the horizon. She enhanced the blue of his jeans and the stripe on his shirt to match the blue of his eyes. The water was a cooler tone. She amplified the light that touched the wave behind him, making the crest a pure white. She cropped and adjusted, playing with the photo until she felt like she could literally reach out and touch him. She sighed, falling a little for him. Saw that coming. A soft banging broke her concentration. She stopped working and wondered where it was coming from. She glanced at the clock, realized how late it was getting. She'd skipped lunch, and now it was almost dinner time. She stretched and decided to make a quick sandwich. She went through the house, turning on the lights in the kitchen. She noticed the rain had finally tapered off. The temperature had dropped drastically from the day before, and the house was cold. Bree was drawn to the window and looked out at the choppy water, which made her feel melancholy. The wind rushed by, and banging started again. Pulling her attention away from the water, Bree left the kitchen and walked up the stairs to the second floor. Instinctively, she looked up as the sound came from overhead. Bree went to the attic door and descended the stairs. The air was chilly in the stairwell. The attic was colder yet, but she didn't stop. Tense, she went to the door in the center of the room and turned the knob. A cold blast of air and a loud bang made her jump. Riker's voice filled her head with images of ghosts and made her hesitate. Scolding herself for being scared, she forced herself to look. She left the door open behind her and flipped the switch, illuminating the stairs in the harsh light from a single bulb that stuck out from the wall just above the door. Bree climbed the small, compact spiral stairs as the sound came again, closer. She emerged into the tiny glass room to find the door on the left swinging in the wind. Relieved, she grabbed the door and shut it against the icy air. Sliding the latch in place, she checked the other side. Riker must not have securely shut it yesterday, she thought. Letting herself relax, she stood for a few minutes and took in the view. Even in this weather, it was beautiful. The bay was empty, void of any boats. The water was gray and choppy, looking like a jilted lover, angry and swollen with rage. She could see the lights from Ocean City as the heavy ashen clouds rolled by on a strong gust of wind. She turned a slow circle and stopped when she spotted a massive area of dark green. She wondered if that was the island she and Riker had been to yesterday. A shiver ran through her as the wind rushed past. She tugged down her sweatshirt and crossed her arms, trying to hold in the warmth. Deciding she'd better eat and finish her work, she descended the stairs. Taking a few steps, Bree noticed that the stairwell was completely dark. Her heart quickened. Had the door blown shut when she pulled the other one closed? She descended the rest of the way in darkness until she came even with the door. Her hand reached out and turned the knob, but it didn't turn. Bree tried again. Nothing. Her heart clenched. "Don't panic," she scolded herself. She tried twisting it the other way. Nothing. "It's probably just stuck. The door's old and probably warped," she said out loud, her voice sounding hollow in the stairwell. She turned the knob again and put her hip into it. It wouldn't budge. She kicked at it with her foot and banged on it with her hands. Fear crept into her body as reality set in. She raced up the curving stairs into the glass and clapboard room. Frantically, she looked around as the feeble light dwindled. She looked out and saw a freshly primed railing of the Widow's Walk. It was sturdy, but it led nowhere. Even if she had on shoes, which she didn't, the roof would be slick from the rain. If she fell and hurt herself, no one would help her. The only logical way down was the stairs. Then she thought of her phone. She reached her pockets and remembered she'd left it in the kitchen. Trying to keep her head, Bree decided to go down and at least turn on the light. Hadn't she turned it on when she came in? She crept back down the stairs into the black, counting the steps as she went to keep from panicking. When she was at the bottom, she reached out and felt for the knob. She twisted it fruitlessly. Bree ran her hands along the wall, searching for the light switch. Her hand swept through a spider web and she shrieked. Disgusted, she wiped it hastily off on her jeans. Back to the wall, she felt along the rough wood again. Trying to be practical, she stopped herself, thought about how high the other switches were in the house, and adjusted her search. Finding it, she had a small spike of joy. She flipped the switch, but nothing happened. She flipped it up and down frantically, but there was only darkness. Her heart raced. Bree tried to think clearly. Maybe the bulb came loose when the door blew shut. She reached up on tiptoes and found the edge of a ceramic base just above the short door. It was warm to the touch. She cupped her hand, propped herself with the other, and reached for the bulb. The socket was empty. Bree screamed. Panic seized her. She tried the knob again and pounded on the door, kicking it, ramming it with her shoulder and hip over and over until she was bruised and battered and her voice hoarse. There was no one to hear her. The house was empty. She sunk down in the dark and sobbed. And that is the end of chapter 19. She did turn on a light. I remember her doing it. So the question is, did the ghost take it out? Or the creepy guy from across the street? Or maybe Riker was playing a trick on her. It would be uncharacteristic of Sam to do it, but you never know. So let's find out if chapter 20 gives us any answers. Here we go. They all pulled into the yard, one right after the other, parked and unloaded. The yard sparkled with a thin layer of frost from the cold front that blew through yesterday. They climbed the steps to the front porch, and Sam pushed the doorbell. The chimes faintly rang out inside the house. They stood waiting for Bree to answer, making small talk. "Brr, it's cold out here," Steve shivered. "God damn cold last night. Down below 30 most of the night," Jerry commented. "Unusual for early May." When Bree didn't answer, Sam pushed the button again. "Are we early?" Jerry asked, glancing at his watch, shifting from foot to foot, trying to keep warm. "It's colder than a witch's wanger out here." Witch's wanger, nice. No, we're a few minutes late," Sam answered, checking his phone. He pushed the doorbell a third time. "I'll text her," Riker said. He typed in a message and then decided to call. He lifted the phone to his ear and heard it go straight to voicemail. He hung up without leaving a message. She's not answering. Maybe she's in the shower. "Did she leave the door unlocked?" Steve asked. Sam tried it and shook his head. He pushed the doorbell again. When there was no answer, he pulled out his keys. "I'll just use the key, but let's make sure we make our presence known in case she's in the shower." "Agreed. But let's not waste more time and get into the heat." They entered, making as much noise as possible, and stopped in the entryway. The house was cold and quiet. "Shit, she doesn't even have the heat on in here," Steve croaked. "Gonna have to get a sweatshirt from the truck." "I don't smell coffee either. She always has some going," Riker said, suddenly concerned. "Bree?" he called. His voice rang out in the empty house. Maybe she had an appointment that she forgot to mention," Sam said, trying to be reasonable. The guys nodded, putting their tools down. "We're going to get the rest of our stuff. We'll be back." I will check the garage and see if her SUV is here. Sam, try your cell again. Riker was going through the kitchen towards the garage when he heard a phone ring. Riker and Sam simultaneously walked into the kitchen from different directions and saw her phone lying on the island. Sam picked it up. 4 missed calls and 8 unopened text messages. Riker gave him a look and sprinted through the house to the garage. Within seconds, he was back. Her car's here. Something's wrong. I agree. Let's search the house and then look outside. Sam nodded. I'll go check the studio. You take the upstairs. Killa! Hello, milady. How are you? Bree! Riker called as he took the stairs 2 at a time. Her bedroom door was open, so he walked in, calling her name. You're doing well? I'm glad to hear it. How's the house stuff coming along? Any movement? The bed was made, and the bathroom door stood wide open. He poked his head in anyway and checked the closet. Empty. A few weeks from closing? Nice. Sounds great. He yelled for her again and could hear Sam faintly calling her too. He entered the hall and checked the other rooms, calling her name. He thought he heard something at the bottom of the stairs to the attic. He sprinted up the stairs, calling out, and followed the sound of pounding. He went to the door that led to the widow's walk. Bree? He questioned. Riker! Thank God! The door's stuck. I can't get out. Riker tried the knob. It was locked. He squatted down and took a closer look. It definitely needed a key. Bree, are you okay? How long have you been in there? Since yesterday afternoon. Please, get me out. Oh, hang on. I need a key or some tools. I'll be right back. Riker ran down the stairs, meeting Sam at the bottom. I found her. She's locked in the attic. I need the keys to the house. What? Sam asked as he fished them out of his pocket. I don't know if that key works for every door. Take them, though. This one's hers. He indicated the one with the red tag on it. I'll grab my toolbox and I'll be right behind you. Riker sprinted up the stairs. Bree? He called. I'm back. I have the key. Let's hope this works. The key fit and turned in the lock. Riker twisted the knob, but the door still didn't open. It's not just locked, it's stuck. Here comes Sam with the toolbox. Hi, Kay. Good to see you. I hope you're doing all right. Any luck? He asked. The key worked, but the door is still stuck. Bree, how are you? Sam asked. Been better. Last night was really cold. My fingers and toes are numb. And my music has stopped playing. That was weird. I'm going to remove the hinges and see if we can use a crowbar to pry it open. Okay. Riker took a hammer, gently tapped the pins on the hinges, and popped them both out. Sam used the crowbar and wedged it between the door and the frame. There was a crack, and the frame splintered, but the door didn't give. Riker turned as Jerry and Steve came in. What's up? Jerry asked. Bree's been locked behind this door all night, Riker said under his breath. Do either of you have any crowbars in your toolbox? I do, Steve said, setting down his toolbox and painting equipment. He handed it to Riker. Both men worked their way around the frame, inching the wedged door. It's almost like it's been glued shut, Sam said to Riker, pointing at a glob of dried wood glue. Does that look fresh to you? Hard to tell. The lighting isn't the best up here. This damn door isn't coming out in one piece. I wish like hell I had my sledgehammer. He wiped the perspiration from his forehead. I don't have a sledgehammer, but I have a follower. I'm just kidding. Warforged Warrior. That's a cool name. Thank you for the follow. Welcome in. We're just reading a story. Good to see you. I don't have a sledgehammer, but I have an axe in the truck, Steve said. Go get it. He leaned over and put his hand on the door. Bree, Steve went to get an axe from the truck. It'll just be a minute longer. She half laughed. What's another minute? I thought this night was never going to end. I can go up and slide down the roof if that would be easier. He tried to keep it light. She sounded scared and tired, on the edge of hysteria. That would be a great option if we had a long enough ladder. We didn't bring one of those with us today, though. Just bear with us a few more minutes, and then we will have you out. I'd have thought that as hard as you punched, you might have already broken the door down yourself. Believe it or not, I did try. That doesn't surprise me. What's the first thing you'll do when you bust out of there? I'm going to kiss the first face I see, even if it's you. Ouch. Riker clutched at his heart. I call breaking the door down, Jerry chimed in. Looks like we have a volunteer to wield the axe now that you're going to pass out kisses, Sam chuckled. After you kiss all of us, what will you do? Make a run for the bathroom? And I never said I was going to kiss all of you. If Jerry's the one holding the axe, he'll be rewarded. Now, wait a minute. Sam and I have been working hard. Jerry's just standing here looking pretty, like usual. It's only fair that if he gets kissed, we do too. Bree laughed. I'll think about it. Here's Steve with the axe. Riker held out his hand for it. You need to stand back. Move to the top of the stairs. Yell down when you're out of the way. Okay, give me a minute. My legs are so stiff and cold I can barely move. Take your time. They heard her call from the top of the stairs. Riker doesn't hesitate. He brought the axe down in one wood splintering crack. The door was old but solid. Riker chopped away, trying desperately to make a hole big enough to get through without tearing up skin. Out of breath, he stopped. Gloves on, Sam pulled a large chunk of wood out and let Riker step through. Bree, we're in. I'm coming up for you. Riker took the stairs quickly. She sat at the top, shivering in the morning light. He was acutely aware of how cold it was. You're bleeding. Why are you bleeding? He asked, concerned, reaching for her battered hands. She looked down. I wasn't aware that I was. She shrugged. I told you I tried to knock the door down. Looks like you put up one hell of a fight, but the door won. Let's get you out of here. He pulled her slowly up. How long did you say you've been up here? He asked, guiding her down the stairs. Around 4 yesterday afternoon. I heard something, so I came up to check it out. Turns out one of the doors blew open. He must not have shut it tightly on Saturday. He was about to argue with her because he was positive he had, but he decided it wasn't the time. Be careful, Sam said as they reached the bottom. We tried to clean up most of the splinters, but there still could be some in urine socks. Thanks, guys, Bree said, stepping through the rough opening. I owe you one. You can put it right here, Jerry said, tapping his cheek. Bree laughed and leaned over and gave the older man a quick peck on the cheek. I'm sorry, I can't stay right now and kiss you properly, but I really need to get down to the bathroom. Jerry's ruddy face turned beet red. You go on, Miss Bree. Take a hot shower while you're at it. Thaw out those bones. We'll get this cleaned up, don't you worry. Thanks. You're lifesavers. Literally. She smiled at them. I'll help you down the stairs, Riker said, taking her arm. Why don't you have the heat on? He asked as they descended the stairs. I do. Maybe it's not working. I'll check it out. You okay from here? He asked as they entered her bedroom. Yes, I'm fine. I owe you one. Lunch is on me, okay? You don't have to do that. I know. Oh, Kaylee Mios. I have no idea what you typed. Can you do English only, please? Thank you. I know, but I want to. I won't stand here and argue with you because the bathroom is an emergency at this point. Yes, go. I'm doing lunch, and that's final. Bree gave him a definite look and hobbled off, closing the door behind her. And then we have a break in the story. One of those cool little seashells. Some tasty tea. Is there a way I can translate that? Because I have no idea what you typed. Oh, okay. Well, that's easy enough. Goodbye. Yeah, no worries. I just did the old Banneroo instead. Thank you for all of you for checking. Appreciate that. Some people can't control themselves around you. Ha! Only if that were true. Anyway, moving on. Bree stood in the shower longer than necessary, letting the hot water run down her aching body. She tried not to overthink how she had sat completely alone in the cold and dark. The isolation had started to overwhelm her. The mere thought that no one would find her terrified her. The only glimmer of hope she had was that the guys were coming bright and early. The idea that Riker would find her in the morning kept her sane. Imagine if they were like, well, we can't get in, we'll come back tomorrow. That would have been a bad day. Her mind played tricks on her in the dark. She was positive she had turned on the light in the stairwell, but the socket was empty. She shuddered at the fact that she couldn't have. Was she losing her mind? Hadn't she put a light bulb in there earlier in the week when she knew the guys would be working on the roof? She'd have to check the package of light bulbs she'd bought. She had bought light bulbs, hadn't she? Suddenly she wasn't sure. And then there's the comment Sam made of, "Does that look like glue? Does that look fresh to you?" Mm-hmm. Creepy guy across the street. Sitting in the dark, she was in tune with every creak and groan of the house. The house had been locked up tight all day, and yet she could have sworn she heard footsteps. She would stake her life on it. Bree shut the water off and stepped out. She could hear music playing and was comforted by the voices overhead. Drying off, she rubbed lotion over her entire body, taking extra care of her bruised and scuffed hands. She got dressed and reached into the bottom drawer for her hairbrush. She froze when she saw her blow dryer and the same piece of photo as yesterday. Her hand shook as she reached for it. She was sure she had thrown it away. Or had she? No, she was certain she had. But then, how did it get back in the drawer? Thoughts swirled around her mind. She trembled slightly as she plugged in the hairdryer. She was losing it. Again. She felt like she was in a fog. Like right after her family had died. Days blurred together. Nights crept by in loneliness. Things disappeared, reappearing days later where she didn't remember putting them. She had slept for hours, drifting from one day to the next. And finally, Aunt Maureen took control. Why was it happening now? She was happy here. Was it too much stress from moving, buying the house and remodeling? Or was there really a ghost like Riker joked about? Was something or someone in the house? She pulled her hair back into a long ponytail, examining her pale face in the mirror. Picking up the piece of the photo, she took it out to the bedroom, deliberately making it a point to place it on the windowsill in plain sight. Sorry, just need to clear this frog in my throat. Yummy. She took a deep breath. Why are you swallowing frogs again? Busted. She took a deep breath, sucking in courage. There were people in the house. She'd have to act like she was okay. Descending the stairs, Bree went straight to the laundry room, opened the cabinet, and pulled out the brand new package of light bulbs. Relieved that they were there, she noticed one was missing. The one she had used for the stairwell. But how? She couldn't even complete the thought. She heard someone come in from outside. Putting the package back, she closed the door. She'd think about it later. Riker put his tools down when he noticed Bree coming into the kitchen. "How you feeling, champ?" "Oh, Jesse, my very wonderful husband, brought me caffeine, so that's a good second step. Listening to your dulcet tones is helping a bit." "Well, Jesse, I'm glad I can help. You just relax. Close your eyes. Or do the puzzle. That's fine. Whichever helps. She looked tired, and her knuckles were covered in bruises. He crossed the kitchen and reached for her hands. Let me see these. He held them in and examined her bruised knuckles. Just how long did you bang on that door? She pulled her hands free from his. I don't know. I lost track of time. He watched her, taking her completely in. The quiet beauty, the silky golden brown hair, and the shimmering blue eyes. He hadn't wanted to, but somewhere, somehow, she had gotten under his skin and slid her way into his heart. After a couple of hits, you must have known you couldn't budge it. But by the look of those hands, it seems you kept trying. Why? Because I thought I heard... She clamped her teeth together to stop herself. She hadn't planned on saying anything. It doesn't matter. He raised a dark eyebrow. Heard what? Bree turned and went to the fridge. Nothing. She dug out the makings for sandwiches. It doesn't matter. It was just my imagination. She turned her back on him, grabbed the rolls and a serrated knife, and set to work. Riker came up behind her, reached for her arm, and turned her around to face him. What did you hear? He asked her patiently. Tell me. Why? So you can make fun of me? Bree, I wouldn't. His voice trailed off as he registered the look of disbelief on her face. He chuckled. Okay, I might tease you a little, but I want to help. Tell me, what did you hear? She let out a breath. Footsteps. I thought I heard footsteps, okay? I thought someone was in the house. She looked scared, and he didn't like it. Like a person? He tried to lighten the mood. Or a ghost. She glared at him. Riker is always saying the right things at the right times. Okay, sorry. Jeez, you guys make quick work of that. Okay. I guess I should get you a new one. Because that was freaking fast. Nope, that's not what I wanted. Let me find another moon puzzle for you. We're gonna run out of moon puzzles at this rate. My computer is way slower than yours. I was still in process of solving when the cheering started. Oh, geez. Well, here's a interestingly challenging one. You'll see what I mean in a moment. Let me just update the link. Okay. Check out this puzzle. Eat your heart out. Exclamation point puzzle will get you a new link. And since we've took that quick pause, I might as well take a sip. delicious. And soothing. She glared at him. Okay, sorry. He held up his hands in surrender. That wasn't funny. I apologize. Sam entered through the slider and spotted them. How many pieces did you do? I'm gonna do it alone. It's 450, and technically you can't do it alone unless you... Yeah, no, you can't. Because even if you copy and pasted a link and did it in a different browser, it's a shared link, so it's a community-based puzzle. Technically. But you can try. Oh, you found it on the puzzle. Okay. Cool. Yeah, 450 was what I set it to.
You worked too fast on the puzzle.
You have the puzzle game thing? Cool. All right. Well, then you're okay. Knock your socks off. My watch just told me I stood up and congratulated me because I did it, but I haven't stood up. So, your drunk watch, go home. What's going on? He asked, looking from one to the other. Bree thought she heard someone in the house last night while locked in the attic. I said I heard what sounded like footsteps, she corrected. Sam tilted his head, thinking. The house was locked this morning when we got here. I had to use the key to get in. Is it possible you just thought you heard footsteps? That's like my watch telling me I hit my zone time only because my heart rate is a bit high. Kinda. Bree shrugged, put the knife down, and stepped away from Riker. Yes. It was really rainy and cold yesterday. The house was creaking, shifting in the wind, so it might have been my imagination. Or it might not have been. The alternative made her shiver inwardly. Bree reached over and grabbed the plate of rolls, then set them on the island with the other fixings to make her subs. She tried to keep her voice neutral as she selected a roll and started to spread mayo. How many keys do you guys have? I have one, and Riker has one, Sam answered. He dug his out of his front pocket. He held it up. That's how we got in this morning. Mine's in the truck in the glove box. I haven't used it since the first day you moved in. I always... Stunt Mama's mama. Hello. Good to see you. How are you? Don't laugh at that, Corgi. I recorded that myself. Just got back from my great niece's birthday party. Oh, that's cool. Awesome. I hope it was a good time. You didn't get her drunk, did you? That could be awkward. She's 7. So, no. I'm just checking, because the last birthday party, everyone got toasted, so. Mine's in the truck in the glove box. I haven't used it since the first day you moved in. I always let Sam carry the keys to the projects. No one else working for us would have keys. Bree nodded. It was probably just my imagination. Add that to my circumstances, the dark and the wind. Her voice trailed off as she layered turkey and provolone. You were lurking earlier today? Well, that's very kind of you. Thank you. That's completely understandable, Sam said. Just so you know, I ordered a new door for the staircase to the Widow's Walk. We can pick it up in the morning and install it tomorrow. The whole door and frame are trashed. Jerry and Steve will finish ripping it out and bring down the pieces. Bree continued to fix the sandwiches as Sam updated her on the progress of the house. She was acutely aware of Rikers watching her every move. Did he think she was imagining it? Did he think she was crazy? The thought nagged at her. She was finishing the last sub when the doorbell rang, saving her from her thoughts and Riker's scrutinization. Bree hurried to the door and opened it, surprised to find Greg. Ah, Greg. Nah, he was an RV beauty. Yeah, could have been, yeah. Good morning, Bree, he said cheerfully. Hello, Greg. What a pleasant surprise. Bree opened the door wide. Come in. This should be interesting. He stepped in, carrying a basket full of goodies. Go on back to the kitchen. Riker and Sam are in there. I was making lunch. Who's Greg? Well, it's not Mad Locust, in the story at least. Greg is a new realtor that helped show the house that she purchased. And he fancies her like nobody's business. But we also know that Riker does. No, he's not. The guy across the street is her ex that kind of moved in and started spying on her, if I'm remembering that correctly. Melissa, you may have to confirm if I'm out of my mind or not, but I'm pretty sure the guy that started spying on her across the street is her ex. I think. Maybe. Something like that. I can't remember now. That was a few chapters ago. And I took a 3-week break. So, anywho, carrying on. Greg set the basket on the island and shook hands with both men. Hello, nice to see you both. Are you taking a break? Yeah, just knocking off for lunch and getting Bree up to date on our progress. Well, I don't want to interrupt, but Greg swung his attention around to Bree. I wanted to bring over this housewarming gift from Coastal Realty. That's the mystery. Who is spying on her? Yeah, I can't tell if it's the crazy ex that wants to make her life a misery or somebody else. That's where my money is right now, because that's the only thing that logically makes sense, but the heck if I know. We'll find out eventually. Oh, that's so sweet. Thank you, Greg. Oh, no problem. It was supposed to be here when you moved in, but it all happened quickly. He shrugged. You can look through it when you have time. By the way, the front porch looks great. And I see you've cleaned the flower beds around the house. Things are really starting to shape up. I've pegged Greg as this really enthusiastic, giddy, just like a puppy with a toy. Yes, they've replaced all the windows and my studio is done. Greg nodded his head and laid his hands on Bree's arm. I saw the guys on the roof. What's happening up there? They're painting the rails to the Widow's Walk. Riker and I are working on the patio, Sam answered. Greg let out a little whistle. The patio is a big job. Better you than me. I need to run. Have an appointment to get to. Bree, walk me out? He didn't wait for her to answer, just guided her to the door, whistling softly. Or maybe it's Greg across the street. Maybe Greg's like this, realtor by day and psycho by night. Gosh. He could possibly have a key, too. Anyway. He led her out of the house, down the steps, into his car. He glanced around the yard and saw that they were alone. Clearing his throat, he said, I've debated whether I should tell you this, but I've come to think of you as a friend, so I feel I should. Okay, Bree said carefully. What is it? Greg ran his hand through his brown hair. You know how you asked me about the possibility of a ghost in your house? She nodded. There's no real easy way to tell you, so I'm just gonna say it. Riker James made that up. There's no such story or any facts to prove it. Bree narrowed her eyes and asked, Are you sure? Greg nodded. Riker has been spreading that little rumor around for years. Everyone local knows it's a joke. But why? Why would he do that? Bree asked, clearly shocked. Oh, here we go. This is the truth that I knew was going to come out eventually. Because he wanted this house, Greg pointed. He's wanted to buy it for years. Then why hasn't he? Because the Hennings wouldn't sell it to him. He's tried. So, to keep prospective buyers away, he started the rumor. To drive home his point, he asked, Isn't he the one who mentioned the ghost to you? Yes, he is. But that doesn't make sense. Why would he have to do that? Why wouldn't they sell to him? A sale is a sale, isn't it? Didn't he have enough money? He has the money. Even offered an excellent price. They turned him down flat. Why? And how do you know all this? I asked Sherry. She knows all the gossip. He shifted from one foot to the other, uncomfortable with what he was about to say. First of all, he shouldn't be saying anything. It's not his place. If I were Riker, I would have punched him in the face. Just saying. When Riker was in high school, he dated Henning's only daughter. I don't know all the details, but it didn't end well. They've never forgotten and refused to sell their house to Riker. Evidently, all the real estate agents in the area know Riker and that he wants this house. Riker's well-liked, and his company's done business with virtually everyone. The other realtors all had an agreement with Linda that if they had clients with any interest in the Hennings place, they would contact Coastal Realty first so Riker could make a counteroffer, hopefully to give him a fighting chance. Bree contemplated for a moment. Then how did I end up with it so easily? Sheer dumb luck? He brushed at a speck of dust on his black pants. Basically, because I'm new and I didn't know. If you remember correctly, I wasn't supposed to take you out. Tina was. She had all the listings I showed you already approved by Linda, but I pulled this one right before we went out not knowing. It's no wonder the Hennings jumped at the offer. They would have taken anything to ensure Riker James didn't get it. If that was true, it explained why Riker was so gruff a lot of the time. It also explained why he kept mentioning the ghost. The thought that he was deliberately trying to scare her crept into her mind. Why? She answered her question in hopes that she would sell. Of course, he couldn't buy it from the Hennings, but he could easily buy it from her. Thanks for telling me. Can we keep this conversation between us? I don't want to get Sherry or myself in any trouble. I like this job, and I don't think Sherry would like Riker to find out. Apparently, they have a little thing. Could I just say, feel free to make your own assumptions, of course, but Greg's a dumbass. That was all. Bree nodded. Of course. Greg got in the car and rolled down the window after he started it. I'll give you a call. We'll get to that movie soon. Hey, I heard that. Oh, poor mad Greg Locust. This book is all about you. She stood a moment, thinking about what he just said. Bree wasn't quite sure how to act around Riker now, knowing what she did. Was he in the house yesterday? Did he purposefully leave Widow's Walk door open on Saturday? She didn't want to believe it was him. Just because he started the rumor doesn't make him the kind of person that would go around sneaking into people's homes. She had no real proof that anyone had even been in the house. It was old. Doors warped and stuck all the time when the weather changed. But it hadn't just been stuck. It had been locked too. And Riker had a key. I bet it is Greg. He's finding a way to blame Riker. It could be. Certainly an option. While Sam and Riker talked, Bree entered the house. It was only a matter of minutes before Steve and Jerry came down carrying pieces of the door. They took a load to the dumpster and returned as Bree finished making the sandwiches. Sorry guys, I only have 2 bar stools, Bree said, looking at the 4 men. She dug out sodas from the fridge and chips from the pantry. If you'd rather have water, I can get out cups. No, this is great, Miss Bree, said Jerry. I need a little pick-me-up. I'm gonna have a soda. You didn't have to go to so much trouble, Steve said, taking a sub. It's no trouble at all. It's the least I could do for my rescuers, she said, smiling as she set out a bowl of fruit. You might want to put a light bulb on those stairs. It gets pretty dark when you're coming down and you've been outside. Hard on my old eyes to adjust from the sun. Yeah, Riker chimed in. I thought you had one in there on Saturday when I worked up there. I thought so too, Bree commented. She looked at him suspiciously. We have the Widow's Walk first coat on, and the door frame ripped out. The supply company called my phone by mistake, Jerry said, directing his comment to Sam. They have that door you wanted. Found one back in the warehouse. We could run in, get it, and put it on this afternoon. Sam nodded between mouthfuls. That would be great. These sandwiches are great, Bree. Thanks for doing this. Well, you're welcome. The guys finished eating quickly while she tidied up the kitchen and put away the sandwich fixings. The guys walked out while Bree wiped down the counters. Riker hung back. Hey, I checked your heat. There's nothing wrong with it. It was just switched off. Bree stopped wiping the counter in mid-swipe and looked at him, suddenly furious. Well, I wonder if your ghost did that. You're unbelievable. Bree threw her dish rag in the sink. By the way, I want your key on my counter by the end of day. Bolts and beams only needs one, and I'd feel better knowing Sam was the one with it. Bree didn't wait for him to reply. She just walked out. That concludes chapter 20. Oh boy. You know, I was just about to say, Corgi, you kind of feel bad for Riker because he has no idea what's going on. And her yo-yo attitude with him is probably really confusing. First, she was like, who the hell's this guy? And then she opens up to him a few days later and spills her heart. And now she's back to being pissed off. It's like, if I were in his shoes, I'd be like, look, are we dating or not? Because this is nonsense. Oh, poor guy. Couldn't buy the house that he wanted forever. Now she's living in it and giving him all kinds of mixed signals. Dating? Settle down. I'm just saying, they like each other, or at least she started to. And who knows where his head's at right now. I can tell you where it's not, though. Oh, poor kid. I say kid like he's 19 or something. Oh. I can too, but I dropped my brain again. You should really try and figure that out. Okay. On that note, keep letting it get dirty. No comment. All I'm going to say is chapter 21 starts on page 154. Such good tea. The guys were gone, and the house was quiet. Bree got up and stretched. She peered out the window and noticed the late afternoon sun dropping. She wanted to go outside, but had not checked her website or wrote her blog for the week. Stepmama's mama's having wine. Woo. Yeah. She glanced at her computer and then back at the window and knew she wasn't about to get any more work done if she didn't go out for a little while. You just had rum? Well, I'm screwed. Everyone's drinking. Grabbing her camera and a light hoodie, she went down the stairs and out the garage's back door. The light was at a perfect angle for taking pictures. It slanted across the yard, playing with different levels of the landscape. As she walked down to the bay, she noticed that the spiky textures of the grass seemed even more heightened. the rocky sand near the wooden dock more pronounced, and the water sparkled just a little brighter in the long rays of the sun. Bree snapped a couple of pictures of the rickety dock in the enchanting light. The shadows made an interesting contrast against the wood, but after a couple of shots, Bree lost interest. Feeling a little melancholy, she walked back to her favorite spot, the one Riker had made extra special. She touched the delicate green leaves of the weeping cherry with her fingertips, then ran her hand over the warm wood of one of the Adirondack chairs, sinking into it. Now that she knew he made up the ghost, she tried to shake the feeling that the spot was tainted. Angry with him, she tried not to let that affect the spot's beauty or his sincere gesture, reasoning that he had made the story long before her. He made this spot after he found out about her family. That had to count for something. Her phone chimed. Bree looked down and saw a text from Sam. FYI, I locked up when we left. Our keys are on the island. We will be back 7:30. Thanks. See you then. Have a good night. Bree felt guilty for having them leave their keys, but she needed to eliminate any possibility that it was either one of them. Part of her was nervous now, though, realizing no one she knew had a key. Had they not had one this morning? Who knows how long she would have been stuck in the stairwell? I thought she only wanted Riker to leave his key and Sam keep his, but I guess they both turned him in. That reminded her, and she made a mental list of a couple things she wanted to get from the hardware store. An escape ladder was one of them. She'd made sure if she got caught up on the Widow's Walk again, she'd have an alternate way down. Trying to relax by soaking in the soothing sounds of the water, she snuggled down into the chair, wishing she'd grabbed a blanket. Lights blinked on across the bay. She could see neon signs, streetlights, and headlights becoming more prominent as the sky darkened behind her. On the bay, small fishing boats and pontoons trawled the waters, slowly headed in for the night. I, just taking a quick segue for a second, personally love sitting by water. There is something so relaxing about it. It is like the ultimate chill for me. When I used to live in Wisconsin, we would sometimes go south to Lake Geneva, which was only about 15 minutes away. And I remember just sitting on a bench, even with all of the life happening around me, because it was a very, touristy spot. But I was just so content. I could sit there for hours. I miss that. And a pond isn't the same thing. I need the movement of the water. Pandemona. Thank you for the follow. How are you? Me, especially at sunset. Me too. I can spend the whole day by the water. Yeah, but it has to be moving water, right? I can't do the pond that just kind of sits there. It's nice to look at, don't get me wrong. I appreciate what a pond has to offer. But being by a lake, for example, where there's some sort of tide happening, that's what I like. That's the stuff. Anyway, little segue there. My apologies. Time slowly ebbed by where the water comes crashing into the rocks. Yes, exactly. Memories. Time slowly ebbed by like the steady rhythm of the waves methodically lapping the rocky shore. Tacky, did you buy this book and read the next part? Put me on a beach and I'm a happy cat. I love a stream as well. Yeah, it's something about the water and its movement and just the natural sounds it makes, untouched by people. As she relaxed, the toll of a sleepless night took over. Bree closed her eyes, giving in to the enticing pull of sleep. She dozed off and slept heavily. She is gonna catch a cold. The sun was gone when she woke, completely snuffed out behind the horizon. Bree stood groggy and disoriented for a moment. What do I feel like something really bad's gonna happen? She adjusted her hoodie, trying to ward off the chill of the night air. Remembering she hadn't written her blog, Bree decided to head in. Turning to go, she hesitated, hearing a soft whistle drift on the wind. A shiver raced over her. She glanced around, feeling like she was being watched, but saw no one in the spongy darkness. Even the boats were off the water now. The bay was empty, void of any lights. Her heart quickened. She stood stock still and listened intently, straining her ears, but there was nothing except the lap of the waves. She grabbed her camera and sprinted to the house. Bree couldn't help but run up the slight incline to the patio. She reached for the slider, but it was locked. Then she remembered Sam's text. She'd have to go in the way she came out. Don't panic. There's no one there. The house is locked, like it's supposed to be. Taking a deep breath, she tried to slow down her racing heart. She rounded the house, stumbling over the flagstone pavers stacked on the patio. She breathed a sigh of release as she reached the garage's back door. She turned the knob and found it locked. She let out a little squeak. How? The guys had left before she came out this door, and she had left it unlocked. Hadn't she? Bree frantically tried the knob again. She even put her hip into it, trying to force the door open, but she couldn't. It didn't budge. Images of last night bounced around her, and panic snaked in. Bree raced around to the front and tried the other doors, the breezeway and the front door, only to find them locked, just like Sam had said. Despair overtook her. What was she to do? Who could she call? No one had keys. But Riker and Sam had tools. She couldn't call Riker. He would think she was crazy. She'd seen the way he'd looked at her this morning with the locked door, the light bulb, and the furnace. No, she wouldn't call him. She'd call Sam. Yes, Sam. He'd come. She was sure of it. She could make a joke out of it, ask him to come over and pick the lock. Then she'd give him a key back, and they'd have a good laugh. Yes, that's what she'd do. Thank God she had her cell phone this time. The wind shifted, stirring a stash of old dry leaves across the front porch. Bree turned and slunk down in the corner, with her back to the wall, her eyes on the vast, dark yard. She made the call. And then she died. Just kidding. I bet Bree wish she had this nice warm tea that I've got right now. Break in the story. Relief washed over her as Sam headlights cut through the night. She cringed at the thought that he had been at Riker's, But she didn't care anymore after sitting in the eerie darkness alone. That would be one short story, yep. Bree has less luck than I do. I mean, I don't think it has anything to do with luck, really. I think she's getting... well, someone is out to get her. Bree stood at the top of the steps as the truck stopped in front of the porch. She took a deep breath to soothe her nerves and tried to appear calm. Both doors swung open. Crap, Riker came too, and I almost lost my page. She should have known he would. Bree brushed at her clothes, trying to look presentable, unlike a woman who'd been cowering in the corner for the last 30 minutes. First, you're locked in, and now you're locked out. Way to go, champ, Riker said. He gave her a smile that could melt a weaker woman's heart. She wouldn't fall for his charm. Instead, she ignored him, turning her attention to Sam. Sam spared Riker a glance as he grabbed his toolbox out of the back seat. Any idea how this happened? He set his tool down and fished out a flashlight, handing it to Riker. Hold that, will you? She shrugged. Well, after everyone left, I decided to take pictures outside. I went out the back door because I was in the studio. Naturally, Sam said. I'm going to try the old credit card trick first. If that doesn't work, well, we'll see where we're at. Bree nodded. Then what happened? Riker prompted as Sam took out his wallet. I took some photos, went and sat in my Adirondack chair and fell asleep. When I woke up, the sun was down. I went around to the garage, the door I came out of, and found it was locked. Only I don't remember turning the lock. I went around the house, but as you can guess, all the doors were locked. So I called you, and here we are. Got it, Sam said victoriously as the spring lock unhooked. He turned the handle, but the deadbolt held. Huh? What? Bree asked. Did you flip the deadbolt? Because I know I didn't. No, I told you I didn't go through the house. I went out the garage door. Sam sat back on his haunches. I don't have any tools to unlock a deadbolt. Which doors don't have them? The garage door and the slider? Sam nodded. Let's head around back then. No one's questioning this right now? He just said I didn't lock the deadbolt. But there it is. Bolted dead. Just saying. A few minutes later, Sam used his credit card to open the garage door, and they were in. He flipped on the lights and looked around. Riker grabbed the door and examined the handle. The lock is a push button, so that should have popped when turned if it had been locked when you went out. Not a turn button that will let you out and remain locked. So either you pushed it without thinking, or someone else did. I'm pretty sure I didn't push it. I think we should look around, just to be safe, he said, making eye contact with Sam. My thoughts exactly. Riker pushed past her. I'll lead. They checked the studio, went through the garage, across the breezeway and into the kitchen. The keys were on the counter where they had left them. Nothing seemed out of place. Sam poked his head into the laundry room while Riker walked down the hall. Bree scooped up the keys, determined to give them back. She needs to have her knees on keys. I knew what you meant, and I even said it wrong. What she needs to do as well is install some security cameras. Riker was flipping on lights as he went, letting out a long, low whistle as he entered the living room. I think you guys had better come look at this. What's the matter? Bree asked, coming up behind him, and gasped when she saw it herself. Her new shears were shredded and hung in tatters. Chunks of material were strewn about. Her first thought was blood as she saw red smeared onto the walls and floor, but she quickly realized it was paint as fumes hung heavily in the air. Her body trembled as her eyes landed in the middle of the room. A steak knife was stuck in the hardwood. The blade gleamed in the pale light next to crude, jagged words carved into the floor. You took what was mine. Fear coursed through her. She had seen that before. Cage. With a K, not C-A-G-E. Bree stepped forward and then Riker grabbed her arm. Don't go any further. We need to call the cops. I'm on it, Sam said, punching in 911 and stepping into the hall. I don't understand, Bree whispered, barely audible. She could hear Sam in the next room talking to the dispatcher, giving her name and address. What could I have possibly taken? I'm not sure, Riker said, looking at the mess, reaching out for her. The sound of his voice and the touch of his hand both comforted and disturbed her. Something clicked in her brain. The house. Cage is Danish for cake. You took my cake. God damn it. She took a small step away from him, not able to trust him. She tried to think through it quickly. He had been with Sam. Both had left their keys. Had they left at the same time? Sam came up beside Bree. The police will be here in a few minutes. Come out of there. Riker guided her by the arm. Let's go to the kitchen. Yes, Bree agreed, gently shaking off his hand. I should put on some coffee. But once in the kitchen, she just sat. Both Riker and Sam stood watching her, not sure what to do. Without looking at them, she asked, What time did you guys leave today? Right around 5, Sam replied. Bree nodded and turned to face them. Did you leave together? No. Jerry and Steve left before us. We worked about half hour longer, then knocked off. We drug some of our tools in. Sam pointed at the pile by the slider. Red and blue lights cut through the room from outside. Looks like the cops are here. Riker walked down the hall. He opened the front door to reveal an officer. Hey, Kilpatrick, he said, recognizing him. Riker James. The police officer stuck out his hand to Riker. I wasn't expecting to see you here tonight. Wasn't expecting to be here. Are you the owner of this house? No, I am, Bree said, coming up behind Riker with Sam following. She wasn't about to let Riker take charge. I'm Bree Thompson. Please come in. What seems to be the problem? Please have a look for yourself. Bree stepped back and indicated that he should look in the living room. Kilpatrick stepped into the room and looked around. Were you in the house when this happened? No, I was outside. I was locked out. Has the house been searched? Kilpatrick directed his question to Riker. Not completely. I'm going to ask you to step outside. I would appreciate it if you could please wait in the truck with the doors locked until we tell you to come out. Seashell. Breaking the story. Man, y'all are making quick work of that puzzle. I should have made it like 800 pieces. An hour later, a man in khakis and a white button-down shirt led them back into the house. He was short, stocky, and had skin the color of warm caramel. Intelligent, dark brown eyes shone out from a friendly face that was slightly lined around the eyes and mouth. He extended his hand to Bree. Oh, shoot, there's an ad starting. I'm going to pause reading for a second. Totally forgot about the ads. Yep. So we'll get those ads run. And then once they're done, I'll keep going. Okay. And some of you that could get ads might not actually get ads, so it's hard to say. So I'm glad I finally caught a story time. This might be the most relaxed I've been in ages. Aw, Kat, thank you. That's very kind of you. No ads for me? Yeah, it's like I really don't understand how Twitch divvies out the ads. It makes no sense to me at all. It's like, why bother? Corgi. I've never timed someone out for being a smartass before, but there's always a first. Seriously though, Kat, I want to provide an entertaining space from the story and the book's perspective with stream and everything, but at the same time, I'm also trying to provide a relaxing, calm atmosphere that is safe for everybody. So, for you to say that makes me very happy. That means I'm doing something right. Okay. Ads should be over, so we shall continue with our story. Ma'am, I'm Detective Savard. Officer Kilpatrick called me. I understand you've had some trouble tonight. No one is safe from me. Oh, shit. Just kidding. You can't get to me. Can you tell me about it? Of course. Let's go into the kitchen. Bree averted her eyes as she walked past the living room. She needed something to do with her hands to keep herself steady. Would you like some coffee, Detective? Don't look behind you, but Kat is standing there. Cool. Could you get my shoulders, please? That'd be great. Yes, please. Oh, well done. Colorscape and Moon. There's like one tiny sliver that is the moon. Good job, y'all. Bree got out the coffee, put a paper liner in the basket, and scooped out 2 heaping measure cups full of fresh grounds. She filled the pot with water and poured it into the cavity. Only when the dark liquid started to drip did she turn back to the detective and start her explanation. Bree ran through it quickly for him. "How long do you think you were outside until you returned to the house?" Savard asked, taking notes. "I went out before 6 and woke up in the dark after 9. Tomorrow I'd like you to show me how far you were from the house. I'm not going to drag you down there tonight." He glanced down at his notepad. "You tried all the doors and found them all locked?" "Yes, that's when I called Sam." Bree pointed in his direction. Savard turned his attention to Sam. "You have a key?" We," Sam motioned between him and Riker, "had keys up until this afternoon." "Why were you given a key?" We own bolts and beams. We're renovating the house. We've had the keys since Bree moved in, until today." "I've seen your black trucks around. Hear good things about your work." He glanced down at his notepad and made another note. "What changed today?" "Because of what happened last night," Bree answered. He lifted a dark, bushy eyebrow. "Walk me through it," Savard said. Again, in a calm, steady voice, Bree started by working in her office, hearing the banging and following it through the house. Then, how she got locked in the stairwell, sitting all night in the cold and dark until the guys rescued her this morning. She finished, "While I was sitting in the dark, I could hear footsteps in the house. I asked the guys to leave their keys today." "You've lived here for about a month, is that correct?" Bree turned to the full coffee pot and poured 4 cups, placing them on the island. "I've been in the area almost 6 weeks. I arrived in Ocean City on the 1st of April. Settled on the house a few weeks later." Bree got out cream and sugar. "Please, help yourself," she said, indicating the cups of hot coffee. "Thank you," Savard said, picking his up. "Where did you move from?" "Kansas." "Mind my asking why you moved?" Bree looked at Savard into his kind brown eyes. She sighed. "My family was killed in a car accident almost a year ago. I wasn't handling it well." She shrugged, looked down into her cup, staring blankly at the dark liquid, then back at him, but attempted a weak smile. Detective Savard looked at her with compassion, not pity like many people did. "I'm sorry to hear that." He shifted gears quickly, steering the conversation back to matters at hand. "Is there anyone you can think of that might want to cause you harm? An old boyfriend? Anyone you dated or are dating there, here, or now?" Bree shook her head, aware that Riker shifted in the corner as his dark blue eyes watched her. "My ex-boyfriend's name is Chad Hammond. There's nothing to worry about there. It was a mutual breakup." "What about something that has come into your possession lately? Any jewelry, real estate, or money? Anything that someone could think of you took from them?" The only thing Bree could think of was the house. This house. And she wasn't about to say that in front of Riker. She'd have to tell the detective in private. "I can't right now." "I'm going to want a list of anyone you've had contact with since you moved here. Also, a list of old boyfriends, friends, co-workers, or relatives you've had fallen out with." Bree nodded. We've gone over the crime scene. We have what we need, so you can clean up when ready. He lifted the bag steak knife. This looks familiar? Yes, Bree said. It looks like mine. I only have two. I didn't bring a lot of silverware with me. Most of my kitchen equipment is still back in Kansas. Let's take a look. Sure enough, there was only one, and the bagged item matched perfectly. Savard switched gears and looked at Riker and Sam. I want phone numbers from both of you, names and numbers of your employees, and any other subcontractors you may be using. I will get that together for you. Sam pulled out his wallet. I can give you our business card now. Both our numbers are on it. He handed him a card. Thank you. He directed his attention to Bree and said, I'll be out tomorrow around 10. He slipped a card of his own into her hand. Please don't hesitate to call me if you think of anything before. Thank you, Detective. I'll see myself out. They heard the door close and stood in silence for a few minutes. Bree was emotionally and physically drained. She glanced at her phone. It was after 1. I'm sure you guys are exhausted and ready to go. I want to thank you for rescuing me yet again. Sam smiled at her, came across the room and hugged her. Anytime. You know we're always here for you. She hugged him back. He leaned out and put her at arm's length. I'm so sorry this is happening to you. Yeah, me too. Do you want us to go in and help you clean that up? No, I'm tired and can't face it anymore tonight. I'm sure you guys are as well. You can wait until the morning. You guys go. Are you sure you'll be okay by yourself? It's only a few hours. Then you'll be back. She laughed. How much trouble could I possibly get into in 6 hours? On second thought, don't answer that. She slipped her hand into her pocket and produced a key. I'd feel better if you had this back. She handed it to him. Just in case. You're sure? She nodded, and Sam slipped it in his pocket. Riker watched the exchange and felt a pang of jealousy. How easy was it for Sam to enfold her in a hug? Why couldn't he do that? He wanted to. He felt the need to all the way down to his toes. And that's why he didn't. Sam gave Bree one more hug and turned to go. Ready? He unfolded himself from the wall where he had propped himself for the last hour. I'll be staying here. Bree stopped short. What? You heard me. I'm staying. I'm not leaving you alone in this house with some lunatic out there. That's completely unnecessary. Besides, I don't have anywhere for you to sleep. There's no beds or a couch if you haven't noticed. Then go pack a bag and come to my house. You can have my bed. I'll sleep on the couch. Sam quickly jumped on board. That's a great idea. I don't like the idea of you being here alone. You've got to be kidding, Bree said, suddenly furious. This is my house. I won't let some sicko drive me out. That's just what he or she wants. They want me to be afraid. Simmer down, champ. We know you're perfectly capable and not afraid to be alone. But humor us, please? Just tonight, until we can either change the locks or get some other safety measures in place. Hell, you don't even have a dog out here to alert you if someone drives in. He's right, Sam agreed. You are isolated here, and somebody other than us might possibly have a key. Without any other way to secure the house, you need to be careful. If you don't want to stay at my place, call Colette, Riker said matter-of-factly. I'm sure she'd put you up. Are you crazy? I'm not about to call Colette this late. Then march upstairs and throw some things in a bag and let's get a move on. I'm tired and stubborn. I won't take no for an answer. Bree looked at Riker in disbelief. He might as well. He won't budge. And then none of us will get any sleep, Sam said. She looked from one man to the other. Riker stood between her and the door with his arms crossed and a devilish cockeyed grin. The 5 o'clock shadow on his face was more prominent than usual, making him seem dark, dangerous, and sexy. Sam stood to the side, looking apologetic, yet firm. Are you going to grab some stuff, or am I going to haul your ass out of here over my shoulder? She narrowed her eyes at him. You wouldn't dare. Try me. They stared at each other. They stared each other down as her blue eyes shot daggers into him. But he didn't relent. Suddenly, he took a step forward toward her. She let out a little shriek. I'm going. Keep your hands off me, Bree said haughtily as she pushed past him. You've got 5 minutes to get packed and down here, or I'm coming up for you. God, that sounds really familiar. Riker called after her, watching her stomp off. He turned back and saw Sam shaking his head. Riker grinned at his friend. Well, she's coming, ain't she? And then there was a break in the story. Bree stood staring at the red taillights disappearing in the darkness, wishing she was still in the truck. You coming? Riker asked, grabbing her bag and heading into the house. Or are you going to stand out here all night? Bree let out a deep sigh. Do I have a choice? Not if you want some sleep. Riker held the door open for her as she walked past. I'm not sure what your problem is. You're getting a comfy bed for a change. That air mattress of yours can't be too comfortable. Follow me. He led the way through the house and up the stairs. I don't know, I don't like this Riker. So many red flags. And Bree, she's very naive. Yeah, they're an interesting pair, aren't they? It's difficult to tell what may or may not happen. The air mattress is not that bad, but I did order a mattress online the other day. Should be arriving by the end of the week. If you need help breaking it in, let me know, he said, glancing over his shoulder at her. He had the instant satisfaction of seeing her turn red. Riker walked into the first room. This is mine. You can have the bed. I'll sleep on the couch. He placed her bag on the dresser. Luckily for you, I changed the sheets this morning. The bed is freshly made. The room was spacious and sparsely decorated like the downstairs and smelled faintly of him. His furniture was gorgeous. It was a deep, rich walnut with organic lines and a distressed textured stain. The large king-side bed with a headboard and dresser stood proud and masculine against the plain white walls, just like the man. That was a mini-me. He's on his way to bed. He's a good kid. All right. Where was I? Oh, yeah. Just like the man. The room was clean and tidy except for the 2 baskets full of folded laundry and a stack of dog-eared books scattered on the nightstand. Do you read? Bree asked, picking up the top book. Or are these just here to impress women? Any woman that makes it to my bed isn't up here to be impressed by what I read. They're here for... Bree raised her hand and cut him off. That's quite all right. I get the picture. He is adorable. Little booger. Grinning, Riker cleared his throat. Right then, the bathroom's through there. There are towels and washcloths beneath the sink. Use whatever you need. He went into the bathroom and flicked on the light. Let me get my toothbrush and toothpaste and I'll be out of your way. She sat down on the edge of the bed, completely exhausted, and waited for him to gather what he needed. As he turned to go, she said, Thanks, Riker, for coming over and helping me tonight. You certainly didn't have to, and thanks for letting me stay here. Riker could see she was tired, even a little sad, but there was something else, too, a vulnerability he hadn't seen before. He didn't like to see her like that. It made his heart ache for her. He grinned a mischievous smile that creased his whole face. If you're really appreciative, you'll let me sleep in my bed. With you, he added, and not on the couch. Not on your life. He crossed the room in 3 long strides, bent down to her level, placing an arm on either side of her. Her breath caught as he reached around her, brushing against her body. Then you can't have my favorite pillow. His face hovered inches from hers. Her pulse spiked. Good night, Bree. Try not to dream about me. His breath whispered on her lips, and he was satisfied to see her cheeks flush. Much better, he thought. Keep her rattled so she won't look so sad. As quickly as he'd reached her, he pulled back and retracted his steps. If you need me, he cocked his eyebrows suggestively, for anything, I'm right downstairs. Believe me, I won't. He clutched at his heart. Wounded I am. Then he shut the door. Bree flopped back onto the bed and tried to calm her racing heart. And then there was a break in the story. He lay in the dark, staring at the ceiling, and thought of her. He thought of how she had awakened in the waning light, slightly off balance, disoriented for having slept too long in a chair. She hustled to the house, finding the first door locked, then the next, wondering if she had punched the lock herself. He snickered, picturing it. But the night before had been better. Standing within inches of her, only the door separating them, hearing her jiggle the knob. Wait. Hold on. Standing within inches of her, only the door separating them, hearing her jiggle the knob, then flip the switch off and on to the lone light bulb, wondering why it wouldn't turn on. Then, realizing it was gone, her breath had hitched. Then the pounding began and the screaming until she was hoarse. She had beat on the old wooden door until her knuckles were bruised. He had stood well over an hour until she finally gave up, hearing her sink down into a puddle behind the locked door and began to sob. He pictured her in a heap, wrapping her arms around her legs, trying to stay warm as the air around her cooled, turning frigid. And the night, completely black. He smiled wickedly at the memory. Then he remembered the living room, his little housewarming gift that she found tonight. What had she thought? Did it frighten her? Did it make her angry? He hoped it pissed her off that someone had done that to her beloved house, her home. Taken something she considered shiny and new, then defiled it. The way she had with his life. What had she thought of the knife stuck in the hardwood floor? Had it made her shiver, thinking of the possibility of it sliding across her throat? Or maybe plunging into her heart? Did the red paint make her think of blood? Her blood that could be easily spilled? Or had she shrunk back and wondered what she had done? What she had taken? Did she even have a clue as to how she had ruined his life? She played sweet and innocent, the kind of person everyone wanted to do everything for and give everything to, but not him. He saw through her. He knew exactly what she was. A conniving, greedy bitch. She was a manipulator, plain and simple. He knew what she was capable of, had seen firsthand what she was, knew what she had taken. And that was everything. She had taken everything. Everything that was his, everything that had mattered, but no longer. He couldn't. No, change that. Wouldn't allow it to go on any longer. He would take back what was rightfully his. Strip her of everything. Her house, her money, her dignity, her pride. He would take what was left of her once she had paid in full. Only when he had it all, and she was dead, would he be satisfied. And that's the end of chapter 21. There's a couple of things we have to take into consideration here. My brain, just like yours, Jesse, went straight to Riker. Because, naturally, this chapter ended with, Bree staying at Riker's house and now Riker's laying downstairs. But it never said this, the words that I read never said Riker laid in the dark. This is just a tale of somebody. It just says he lay in the dark. So we don't actually know who the he is. Because it's part of the same chapter, definitely easy to assume Riker, right? But yeah, we don't actually know who the he is. It's like one of those movies where you know that there's a person there, but their identity hasn't been revealed because there's like a shadow covering them. So, yeah. You know there's a bad guy. You just don't know who it is. And then you get random first-person view and you have no idea who that is. Exactly. So, yeah. Oh boy. Because I almost jumped to the assumption of it being Riker, but I don't think it is. Don't get me wrong, Riker's completely pissed off about the fact that he isn't in the house, living there. But I don't think that was him. I missed a chunk. I had to run off and help my mom with tech issues. Why'd you do that? I'm just kidding. Gotta go. That's okay, Kay. We are wrapping up ourselves. Thank you for being here. And thank you to all of you as well for being here. It's been a wonderful stream. We got to do some nice truck driving, which was calming and fun. And we got to hear more of this excellent story. So says the realtor. We don't know for sure. Yeah, we really don't know who this person is. I don't think it's the realtor, though, as I think more about it. The realtor isn't giving me a vibe of, you ruined my life. You took everything from me. I feel like it has to be a person that she knows and would be able to identify and recognize. But us, as the reader, we don't know who it is yet. Yeah. Either way, I could be completely wrong and then blown away later. Who knows? All right. On that note, let us find someone we can go say hello to, shall we? Who is on right now? Lots of people. Lots of people is on right now. Of course. It's a wonderful story, Melissa. Thank you for letting me read it. I am on the edge of my virtual seat, if you will, trying to figure out who the heck this person is and what else they're gonna do to make Bree's life miserable. And this tension between Bree and Riker, like, what's going on there? They're gonna sleep with each other or not? Okay. Back to finding someone to raid. I can do this. You know what? Yep. We're gonna go raid my buddy Thump, because he's doing a mashup with Mr. Thomas, another excellent guy. Two wonderful people we can go raid with. Please copy this message. Doesn't matter if you're subbed or not. Makes no matter. Makes no difference. And let's go say hello to Thump Gaming. Thank you for being here tonight. Whether you've been actively chatting or lurking, makes no difference. Thank you for the resubs as well. We will be back on Tuesday to keep reading this book. And then Thursday, we'll be doing some trucking, and then we'll be reading in Discord after that, a different book. So, thank you. I appreciate you spending time with me. Please, yes, Jesse, Tuesday. It will be 6 o'clock Central. I don't have Discord. The book we're reading on Thursday is in someone else's Discord because we're reading Onyx Storm, the Fourth Wing series. But anyway, but yeah, we'll be back on Tuesday, 6 o'clock Central, to keep going with our current book. Until then, please take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and have a wonderful night.